I mean, you've seen guys that are just sort of there for the Brotherhood and the Fidel, that they want to wear the jacket, they want to like hang out, they want to be in the clubhouse, but they're not the guy who's going to run in when you're being outnumbered. You come across those guys as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're showing that you're not that guy.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it seems like, and look, man, I know so much about your story, and we're friends, you know? So like I've heard a lot of these stories, but one sort of recurring theme with you just always seems it's always somebody did something that you felt was unjust. Somebody hurt somebody that you love. Somebody put their hands on a woman, and so you go and you react, right?
Yeah,
What was, I mean, this club now is starting to become your family. Mm-hmm. Was there like one inciting incident that then ratcheted it up to another level?
Yeah, and that became, so in 1994, we switched from the Hell's Henchmen we became Hell's Angels, right? We were talking to the Hell's Angels, and one of the henchmen was in the penitentiary with an angel out of Minnesota, and they had a good relationship with each other. And the Hell's Angels at the time were never in the Midwest. It was Minnesota, and then nothing in the Midwest, and then it was Ohio. So there was that big gap of no Hell's Angels right there, and we were the opportunity, right? The Hell's Henchmen, 3 chapters, guys that were, about it and stuff like that. So once we decided that we were going to become Hell's Angels, well, that changed the game in the history of Chicago, because the Outlaws, that was their hometown. That was their chapter. The Chicago chapter was, on the map.
How does that decision get made?
All of us took it to a vote. There was some older guys in the club that were Hell's Henchmen at the time that, knew that they didn't want to take that next step, and we couldn't blame them. At the time I was, 22, 23 years old, and these guys were, 40s and 50s, and they're thinking, okay, once we make this decision to become Hell's Angels, it's going to turn the city upside down here. The Outlaws are not going to be happy with this, and we don't know what's coming, but we knew they weren't going to be happy. So some guys split. We gave them the opportunity. We said, you can't keep the club. The Hell's Henchmen has to fold and become Hell's Angels. You can't keep the club, So guys left. The guys that stayed made the decision to stay. And we kind of buckled up for the ride, because the Outlaws told us there's nothing more for us to talk about. It's on, mortal enemies at the time.
How did they send you that message?
We sat with them at a table. They had called, at the time the president was a guy that was the Hell's Henchmen president for probably 15 years. And they hit him up, and 5 of us went to meet 5 of them at a restaurant. And they asked if the rumor was true, and we said, yeah, we're doing it. We're going to become Hell's Angels. And they said, okay, there's nothing more for us to talk about. See you when we see you. And I knew right then and there, when them cats left that table, it was going to get serious.
And then what is that? So what's like, once you leave that table, what's the conversation like? What does that feel like? Is there any part of you you're like, fuck, it's on now? Or are you like, bring whatever comes?
And I'm super young at the time, and these cats are, 10, 12, 15 years older than me, that just, on the Outlaw side too, and serious cats, right? The Outlaws had a very, very tough reputation. These guys weren't pushovers by any means. They had a very hardcore crew. And these 5 cats that came from their team were the hardcore dudes. And I looked in their eyes and seen it, and when we were leaving, and I said, well, we kind of knew the outcome we were going to get.
Yeah.
We knew nothing was going to happen at the time. We were in a restaurant. We all picked a restaurant where it was, neutral. And we were just, going home saying, well, boys, now we got to see what's going to happen here. We weren't taking anything to them. They were not happy with what we were doing. So we were kind of like sitting back and seeing how it was going to go. And things escalated very fast, very fast. The beating started, the barroom stuff, catching a couple of guys in the bars. They jumped a few of our guys. We returned the favor, and it started that way. And then it's like they took a step up with the violence, and we had to try to take the step up to do it, right? There's no playbook, right? There's nothing you're reading from. It's like you have to be Johnny on the spot and take what comes your way. And that's how we were all doing it, right? None of us really knew anything. I mean, when they put the bomb on our clubhouse in 1994, that was the 3rd largest bomb to this day. It was like the Oklahoma McVeigh. It was the trades towers, in New York. And this was the third largest bomb detonated in the United States to this day. And we didn't know about bombs. I could barely put the battery in my pager. I didn't put, all I did with motorcycles, I put the gas in.
How did that go down? How did the bomb go? Did the bomb? What happened? What was the story with that?
So they put 100 pounds of C4 in a car, shaped it and everything like that. Drove it up. Our clubhouse was in a crazy. It was called Grand Avenue, and it was a very busy street. And it was about 5 o'clock, in a weekday afternoon. It was a Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that, middle of the week. Traffic going by and everything, and they built the bomb in the trunk of this car. And one of their members, who got RICO'd and went to prison. It's all this is all gangland stuff and every knowledgeable. He drove the car. And blocked the front door of the clubhouse because they thought people were in the clubhouse because there was some cars out in front. There was a member from Minnesota with his girl visiting, but they were sightseeing at the time. And that thing, he got out of the car picked him up, you can see from the cameras, and he barely got out of view of the cameras, block or so away, and that thing detonated. And by the grace of God, 2 minutes before that, a city bus went by filled with people,
Holy
CTA
shit.
bus. You see a cop car goes by real slow, and the cop looks at the door, and he goes, that's probably the Angels. We were in that neighborhood. The Henchmen been there since the 60s. That's probably the Angels moving something. I mean, if he would have stopped and got out, nobody would have lived through this. So that bomb goes off, it blasts down, and it blew a 5, 6, 7 foot hole in the ground. They found the VIN number a mile away, right? When the ATF gets in there and does their investigation. Hits the front door, big steel front door, blows it out of the back of the building, through it, a big building, old Chicago building, 3 levels. The blast goes across the street. There's a house that's siding, like an aluminum siding house. By the grace of God, nobody's in the house. It just rips the house apart. Nobody gets hurt, knocks all the lights out on for blocks around. I mean, just turmoil, right? So I was sitting at home, and I get a phone call from one of my friends, and he goes, "Hey, bro, I think your clubhouse is on the news." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Turn on the news." I go, "What channel?" He goes, "Any of them." And I turn on the news, and I look, and I'm just seeing the city, the block, but with no lights, the car pieces, infernos on the streets. And I think we seen it in the sizzle reel of that, where the guy was out there from the news and stuff like that. And I said, "Yeah, that's our clubhouse," So we all got on the phone with each other, and we met a few blocks away. There was a gas station, and we came down to the gas station and stuff. And it was just, it was so crowded. It was like if you were there signing autographs, the place was just jammed with people because they had everything shut off. Nobody could get near it, right? So we were all in the gas station. We're like, "Man, what happened here?" Right? And the neighbors are like, "Man, an explosion went off on Grand Avenue," right? And we're like, okay. So as I'm standing there talking to the fellas, I hear my name get called. "Hey, Mel," and I look around, and it's a couple ATF guys, a couple guys that I already knew who they were. And they said, "Hey, man, come here. We want to talk to you." I said, "Okay." They go, "What's going on here?" I go, "I have no idea, man. I just seen it on the news, They said, "Well, who you thinking?" I go, I don't have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, right?"
You knew exactly who it was.
I kind of figured it was them.
You wanted to handle it yourself.
We didn't have anybody that that was could do that at that capacity that we knew besides them guys. So he goes, "It's a mess down there, man." He goes, "It's a disaster." I said, "Anybody hurt?" He goes, "No, nobody hurt. Nobody was in the building." I find out later from Lou and the ATF guys, with a blast like that, if anybody was in that building, it would have just ripped their eardrums out. They would have been bleeding internally just from the concussion, right? Not the blast, the concussion and stuff like that. And I said, "Okay, cool." I said, "Can I see the place?" And he says, "Yeah, if you talk to me." I said, "Yeah, let's go. Let's walk and talk, We think it was the Outlaws." I go, "Well, guys, I don't know. I was at home. I wasn't here when somebody, did this, right?" And I seen the building. I seen the street. And I was like, looked like Beirut when I used to watch the old movies.
Because at this point, you're not you're only interested at one kind of justice at this. Like, exactly what you're like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that feeling?
Yeah, that feeling was like so when I got back after seeing the building, and the Fed said, "Okay, we're seizing this now. This is ours. We're having people flying from Washington. This is a big deal. It's we'll let you know what's going to happen, but we're taking over this property, right?" And I said, "Okay, they were out there." And the guys, we had guys it was our job as members to make sure we were watching the building too, because they cleared the street up. Grand Avenue opened, and we had guys that had to sit out there in shifts, 10-hour shifts and stuff, to make sure, because there was gaping holes in this building. But every day people were flying in from Washington and, going through the place and making sure, they wanted to, do all their investigation and stuff. And at the time, a funny old saying is I used to say, man, tie your shoes up, boys. It's going to get crazy here, right? And, we were doing that tit for tat thing, and like I said, none of us knew that game. So it became it was a personal level, fighting, running in each other's bars, doing stuff like that, to now, wow, this thing just happened and turned the game around with the bombing stuff, right?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's John, Bam Bam the dog. First, on behalf of both of us and everybody from the Real Ones team, I just want to sincerely thank you guys for tuning in. The folks that I bring on the show, they're family to me, and being able to tell their stories and bringing you into their world is something I'm just super proud of, and again, grateful that you guys tune in. We've decided we want to take things just a step further. It's a Patreon community, and basically what that means is if you become a part of this community, look, I already bored Bam Bam. If you want to become a part of this community, you're going to be able to hear episodes early and all that, ad-free and all that good stuff. But there's all this behind-the-scenes footage, all this stuff that we've shot that really brings you into the folks that we've had on the show, really brings you into their world. Live chats with me and the folks that I bring on the show to talk about their world, talk about the issues that they're dealing with, about their triumphs and their tragedies. Just go to Patreon/RealOnes on this website that you see right there, right on the screen, that's right in front of you. This whole idea was something about building bridges and bringing people together and bringing folks that often don't get the mic and giving the mic to them. So the fact that you guys tune in means the world. Anyways, again, thank you. Be good to each other out there. Rock and roll.